Hello and welcome to Awaz News. I'm Sumana Kutoni and I'll be taking you through big news across Canada. Queen Elizabeth, Canada's head of state, dead at 96. Ottawa will give $650 annually to low and mid-income families for kids' dental care. Trudeau mourns the death of Canada's Queen. Transition to King Charles as Canada's head of state automatic after Queen's death. New air passenger protection rule come into effect today. Queen's Park passes bill giving Toronto and Ottawa strong mayor powers. Death of Queen casts pall on opening day of the Toronto International Film Festival. So those were the headlines. Now let's jump right into the details. Queen Elizabeth, Canada's head of state and longest reigning British monarch, has died. She was 96. She died peacefully this afternoon at Balmoral Castle in Scotland, Buckingham Palace said in short statement. King and Queen consort will remain at Balmoral this evening and will return to London tomorrow, the palace said in the reference to the Queen's son Charles, which automatically became the king upon her death, and his wife Camilla. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau plans to announce new measures to tackle inflation, including details of the measure for dental care for low-income families, one-time benefit for low-income renter, and a temporary boost to the GST credit, all part of plan to fulfill a deal between Federal Liberal and the NDP. Under the proposed legislation, the government will give money to pay for dental visit for children under 12 directly to the family who earn $90,000 or less. According to the multiple sources from Awaz News, parents from the low and the middle income family will give $650 annually for 2 years per child to pay visit for the dentals. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau issued a solemn statement today shortly after Queen Elizabeth's death, saying Canadians are grateful for the monarch's decades of service to the country and the Commonwealth. Speaking later at the cabinet retreat in Vancouver, a tearful Trudeau said he's struggling to come to terms with the Queen's death. I'm having trouble believing that my last sit down with her was my last, Trudeau said, referring to his March 22 meeting in Windsor Castle. Trudeau was the Queen's first audience after she recovered from COVID, a sign some palace watchers said. The affection of the Queen had for the Prime Minister.
It is with the deepest of sorrow that we learn today of the passing of Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II. She was our Queen for almost half of Canada's existence, and she had an obvious, deep, and abiding love and affection for Canadians. She served us all with strength and wisdom for 70 years. As we grew into the diverse, optimistic, responsible, ambitious, and extraordinary country we are today. As her 12th Canadian Prime Minister, I'm having trouble believing that my last sit-down with her was my last. I will so miss those chats. She was thoughtful, wise, curious, helpful, funny, and so much more. In a complicated world, her steady grace and resolve brought comfort and strength to us all. Canada is in mourning. She was one of my favorite people in the world, and I will miss her so.
As momentous as the death of Queen Elizabeth II may be after 70 years on the throne, it's pretty much business as usual in terms of Canada's governance. The monarch remains the constitutional head of the state in this country, no matter who is filling the role at any given time, says Philippe Legace, an associate professor of the international affairs at Carleton University and an expert on the role of the Crown in the Westminster system of government. Hence, the succession from the Queen to her eldest son, Charles, is automatic without any disruption to governing bodies that sit in the name or legislation, oath, and other legal document issued on her name. This transition does not require any action on Canada's part. Legacy says. New air passenger protection regulations go into effect today. The update comes as the Canadian Transport Agency tries to close a loophole that left some passengers unable to secure cash refund after the pandemic-related flight cancellation. Starting today, airline will be required to issue a full refund for cancellation and delays if passengers are not placed on a new flight within 48 hours, including for reasons outside of the airline's control. Previously, the passenger right regime only required refund for flight disruption that were within the airline's control, which excluded the situation ranging from weather to war to unscheduled mechanical issues. As well as a cash refund, the ticket price may also be reimbursed through the credit or voucher and is to be paid in full by the airline within the 30 days. Ontario's legislature has passed a bill to give the leaders of Toronto and Ottawa so-called strong mayor power, which the Progressive Conservative government has pitched as a way to get the housing built more quickly. It gives the mayors of Ontario's two largest cities veto power over bylaws that conflict with their provincial priorities, such as building housing. A council could override the mayor's veto with a two-thirds majority vote. Toronto Mayor John Tory has expressed support for the plan, while the outgoing Ottawa mayor and the two of the top contenders to replace him have said they are not in favor. The opposition parties say the legislation amounts to the Premier Doug Ford interfering in municipal politics right before the October municipal election. Ford has said he is planning to expand the power to more municipalities. The death of Canada's longest-serving head of state has cast a pall over the opening day of Toronto International Film Festival. TIFF CEO Cameron Bailey says in a series of tweets that the festival understands many attendees will be deeply affected by the death of the Queen. He says TIFF is working with a film partner who may be affected. It is not clear or how the festival will alter its plan to respond to the Queen's death. TIFF organizers had promised this year's festival would be a return to form after 2 years of pandemic-disrupted event and serve a celebration of being together.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Simone Cutoni, and I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have a good night.